Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about someone rather infamous in the EVE Online community, before his ban a few years ago. I personally played EVE for a few years before winning the game and haven't been back since, but the legend of Erotica 1 has stayed with me all that time. Erotica 1 was known throughout the game as the most prolific ISK doubler of his time. If you're unfamiliar with EVE, ISK is just money. ISK doublers would stay docked in popular trade centers with an offer of doubling any amount of money sent to them. Now, if you have half a brain, you'd realize this is obviously a scam. However, there are quite a few players of EVE Online who needed to learn that the hard way, and will giddily send their money to Erotica 1 and the many other scammers like him. These scammers would frequently employ the tactic of actually doubling your money the first few times, until you sent them an amount that they were pleased with. Now, this is all within the game rules, as scamming is perfectly allowed, and the general consensus surrounding the victims is that they should have been smarter, and now you know better. With all of that explained, let's get into what made Erotica 1 infamous throughout New Eden. Located normally in Jeddah, Erotica 1 would spam the chat looking for marks to scam. When he found a good victim, he would use his charisma to convince the person to transfer all of their assets to him. After he got everything they owned, he would promise to only double it if the mark made it through what he called the bonus round. Now, this isn't too special. Many ISK doublers would themselves stand out by creating small, but usually difficult games to actually win, so that people would say that they were legit in chat. This also gave them an out when people called them a scammer. They could just claim that the person lost their game fairly. Erotica would seek out the most gullible or innocent of the EVE community before selecting them for the bonus round. Others would just simply walk away once they realized it was a scam, before they got in too deep. Those selected for the bonus room would be instructed to send everything in the game they had to Erotica 1 and his brokers. This included money, ships, materials, PI goods, and any holdings they had in the EVE gambling sites. Now, you're probably thinking, why on earth would anyone do this? Erotica would promise bonus round participants that he would quintuple their net worth. For many greedy players, this was just too good of a chance to pass up. There were also plenty of innocent, naive, or just plain stupid players who fell into this trap. After Erotica was satisfied that he had control of all their assets, the player would then proceed to part 2 of the bonus room. This part often varied from player to player, but was consistently horrible for the scamee. Players would be prodded into reading hours of boring text, singing song after song over voice chat while Erotica and his friends egged them on, promising to pay out after just a few more songs. An EVE blogger, named Jester, made a long post about the horrors of Erotica 1 and how he tormented a player. The victim in Jester's post had a speech impediment. When Erotica and his fellow interrogators noticed it, they jumped on him for it, making him repeat a word he could not pronounce again and again and again. Then they decided he needed to be educated. They made him read the word and its definition over and over and over. Following this, they forced him to read the entire Russian history entry of Wikipedia, all while mocking his speech impediment. After about an hour and a half of reading, Erotica had decided it was time for this player to move to Phase 3 of the bonus room. Like many others, the contestant is forced to sing song after song, while he is mocked by interrogator after interrogator, each popping in as the other is forced to mute themselves due to laughter. After about 3 hours of the bonus room, the contestant snaps. He begins screaming, cursing, and shouting at the interrogators, who all burst into laughter. He had completely lost it at this point. The scammee's wife can be heard trying to calm him down before she herself devolves to a panic attack at her husband's state. All the while, Erotica and his gang are in hysterics at the situation. They have stolen everything from this man, and now they have pushed him into a manic state of mind. Eventually, they disconnect, taking everything the player owned. Erotica would then publish the recording of this event online, just to humiliate the player even further. When people talk about the sociopaths or truly fucked up people that play EVE Online, you need to look no further than Erotica 1. Jester's posts would make major waves. This story would be picked up by Massively.com, Eurogamer, EVE News 24, and discussed wildly across the EVE subreddit. Jester at the time was also a member of the CSM, which is a group of players selected to be in close contact with the game developer CCP, so it isn't a stretch to think that he likely brought this to their attention as well. Erotica had made waves before, when he forced players to repeatedly be killed in their alpha pod until they lost all of their skill points. For non-EVE players, this means that Erotica would force the player to be killed in a state in which they lost skills or levels over and over again, wiping out possibly years of progress that they could not just get back, all the while dangling all of their assets in front of them. When the recording and blog post dropped, the community immediately split into two factions, those pro and anti-Erotica 1. Many players were appalled by his actions, while others found it hilarious, bombarding him with support and hate mail. The New Order, or Code, a group of high-sec griefers, being one of Erotica's staunchest supporters. Though this is not surprising. Erotica's scamming had made him one of the richest players in EVE at the time, and he had funneled billions of his ISK into supporting the Code. Erotica, once a longtime member of the Goon Swarm, or CFC as they were known at the time, was recently kicked before all this due to having a track record of creepy behavior and crossing the line a few too many times, so he found no support even in his old allies. In the end, after thousands of posts for and against Erotica 1, CCP chose to permanently ban him from the game. After around 100 or so bonus rounds, years of scamming and attention whoring, EVE's most infamous scammer was finally brought down. Erotica would make a long post on the EVE subreddit regarding his ban, promising to essentially whine to every gaming media site that he could find about his unfair treatment, or how he was simply trying to protect the sandbox. But in the end, his ban stood, and stands to this day. Now, EVE prides itself on being a tough, roguish game where you are expected to just get up and dust yourself off after even the worst disasters. So it is understandable that some players would side with Erotica in seeing those who fell for his scams as foolish or greedy, which many of them were. However, Erotica 1 just took it too far. There are thousands of scammers within EVE Online who are able to practice their craft without even so much as a warning from CCP. It's an accepted and beloved part of the game, hazing newbies. At the end of the day, though, you need to think about the other real-life person on the other side of the screen. Scam them and move on, man. Don't push them and torment them for a few laughs because you outsmarted them. Honestly, I'm glad he's gone. The game is certainly better off for it. This has been the tale of Erotica 1, EVE Online's most infamous scammer, and one who remains banned to this day. What do you think about it? Did he deserve to be banned? Did those who participated in the bonus room deserve it for being so gullible? Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe below. Have a good one.